Welcome to Beyond the Campfire, the Dead by Daylight podcast where we dive into the stories, secrets, and strategies behind the horrors and heroes within the fog. I am Dogbomb, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Lemon. Hello, Lemon.
Hi, Dogbomb.
How's your week been?
Ooh, it's been a good week. I feel like we have
Good.
played a lot of Dead by Daylight,
We have played an awful lot of Dead by Daylight.
haven't we? Yeah.
We have. Do you know why?
No?
Because Chaos Shuffle's back.
God. Yeah, that's
And
true.
Chaos Shuffle came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it. They didn't announce it. And it's my favorite mode.
Yeah, that's me running around confused, not knowing at least 3 out of my 4 perks.
It's my favorite mode.
If I just know one perk, I'm excited.
It's my favorite mode. I think because everybody around me is running around not knowing what their perks are.
Yeah, it's a
And
bit
I'm
of a shit
loving
show.
it. It is a bit of a shit show. It's my favorite mode.
I didn't know you were into shit shows. Okay, you can edit that out.
No, I love it. I mean, my whole thing when I'm streaming and there's nothing going on Dead by Daylight is to do my own Chaos Shuffle.
Yeah.
With my luck randomness ace. So Chaos Shuffle is right up my street.
Well, I hope maybe it will be when we go through some more survivors and I know more perks.
Yeah, you will.
So
You'll get there. You'll
maybe
get there.
I will start to be a bit more like, I can do this, that. But right now,
And sometimes you will get 4 perks that just go against each other, which is always good as well.
yeah, I keep getting a perk that has like a flashlight and then it has the number 1 above it. What does that mean?
Are you asking me what that is? I have no
Yes.
idea.
Okay, it's just because I never bring a flashlight to a DBD game.
Maybe you need to bring or find a flashlight.
Is this a time to tell the story about my experience with flashlights?
We'll never talk about that.
So I once brought a flashlight to a game, and we counted on my main character here, like the other day, that I have over 1,000 flashlights on her. But I brought a flashlight, and Dogbomb got so annoyed at me that he yelled, like, "Why did you bring that? Woo!" I have never dared to bring one since. Still scared to this day of a flashlight.
Flashlights are not for brightening a killer's knees. What can I say?
The gen. Because I think it's a toolbox.
So we have had some feedback from people this week.
Yeah.
I asked a question. The question I asked was, is there a killer you would like to get good at? And if you don't play killer, is there a reason why? And Drunk David said that they would like to get good with the Huntress. I'm not great with her, but she's very fun to play as. Watching how good normal Steve is with her just leaves me open mouthed. Same. There's a few
True.
Huntress players where I'm just like, wow. And I can't kind of comprehend how they do so well.
I agree.
Kathy said that she's excited about Stranger Things. Love the show, and Dustin and Eddie will be great to play with. But says they don't tend to play killer as first-person play is very tough for them. They get travel sick and it's not great. I have heard this before from a lot of people, actually. That first-person play just doesn't work with their brain.
Yeah. I struggle with it because I feel so limited in my vision.
And we also had a comment from Isaac, who said that they are trying to get better at Myers, a simple killer, but complex to master. They're also looking forward to the PTB. But the other thing they're looking forward to is our Jake Park episode, which is very exciting.
And that made me so excited about Jake. I was like, oh my God, let's go. We have somebody's main. This is going to be amazing.
Well, this week, he's calm, restrained, and built for players who'd rather outthink the killer than outpace them. It is Jake Park.
So today we are going to learn more about Jake Park. And we are going to do that by looking at the game bio and Tome 8. So Jake is our second non-US survivor in the game. He is from Korea. And he's also from a wealthy family. His father's like a big CEO guy. Jake has a brother that graduated from Yale University with honors. And this made their father put pressure on Jake to study and to be like his brother. Jake did not plan to study for years, but as the pressure from his father became too much, he dropped out of school completely. In Tome 8, Jake has an argument with his father over a weekend, so it starts Friday, and then Monday morning, Jake leaves his home without saying goodbye to anyone. When we first meet Jake, he is out hunting for food, but he's struggling to focus. There are 3 things that he keeps thinking about, and they interrupt his every attempt to focus. And that is food, the past, and home. In his mind, he is hearing a conversation with his mother. Jake is frustrated about his father not telling him about his past or his grandfather, but that he was always working to get more money and living a superficial life. His mother reminds Jake that a part of this life also was to raise both of his sons. Then Jake is thinking back to a backpacking trip he did across Korea, where he met people that knew his grandfather. Since Jake's father did not talk about the past, Jake was expecting to hear some dark stories, maybe even some abusive stories. But all the stories he was told about his grandfather made him a hero, a legend of his time. Then a new voice in Jake's head interrupts him. And that is the voice of what he imagines what his grandfather would sound like. The voice tells him to stop thinking about the past and focus on the task in front of him, which is hunting a wild hog. This makes Jake nod in a respectful bow. As Jake is running to find the wild hog, he is also trying to hide from it. And again, it makes his mind wander to some letters he found in the attic that his father was hiding. But then again, his grandfather interrupts and tries to convince that these was the letters that made Jake learn his father's language properly. So, side note, because Jake is learning his father's language and his brother went to Yale, for me it sounds like the family have left Korea for the US. So even if Jake is our second non-US survivor, he does live in America. So he has gone to high school, which we also hear about later, and he knows English. But he had learned Korean to read the letters his father is hiding, and I assume to talk to the people that knew his grandfather. So that was just a side note, because Jake's story is a bit confusing. So, the voice in his head tell him to focus and stop thinking about his father and the past, but go hunt to find food or become food. This makes Jake think that the voices in his head are mixing, as that sounds like something his father would say and not his grandfather. Jake does not remember when he started to hear voices in his head, but they are often family members or very old friends. But a voice told him that it's normal, just nothing anyone is ever talking about. It always used to be friendly talk from the voices, but lately the voices have started to question everything he does. And even worse, the last few days, Jake has been hearing a new voice. A voice of an old teacher that did everything to undermine his dignity and confidence. Jake hates this voice. But he's also hungry and regrets not bringing any snacks as he normally would. And the annoying voice is judging him for not bringing any granola bars. Jake is watching a hawk flying above him in circles. It lands near some water, and he goes to see what the hawk found. And when he gets closer, he sees it's picking at a dead bird. And food is food. Jake makes a fire, cooks the leftover bird and its guts into a sort of bird pudding, while the voices keep nagging him. After trying to eat some of the disgusting bird, Jake returns to the wild hog hunt. He notices some broken twigs, and then he hears it. And by being very, very sneaky in the long grass, he launches his spear he has made and hears a high-pitched sound from the wild hog. It runs away from Jake. He follows the trail of blood to an opening of a small cave. It's a cave Jake had been in before, so he knows there's only one way out. Jake decides to do some digging outside the cave in case the wild hog tries to get away. He has already been waiting for an hour, and he doesn't hear any noise from the cave, but the voices in his head do not shut up. The annoying voice is telling him that he is stupid for not bringing the granola bars. His mother's voice wants him to send his father a letter. Jake gets tired of waiting, so he finds a few branches and set them on fire. Then he tosses them into the darkness of the cave. The smoke makes him think of his grandfather, how he helped reunite families, save people from starvation. He saved all of them, except himself. Jake had spoken to some of the survivors in Seoul. They did not know what happened to his grandfather, but they think he was captured and executed. While Jake's mind was in Seoul, he did not notice that the wild hog was trying to make an escape, but it fell into a pit Jake dug outside of the cave. So now he sits by the fire and eats some of the meat while thinking it was worth a day's work to get the wild hog. Now he just eats salt, and the rest of the meat from the wild hog will last for months. But then the wild hog turns to Jake and starts talking. And Jake is sitting by the fire eating the wild hog, but that doesn't stop him. At first, it starts talking about how it let Jake catch it and how they both are part of the same circle of life. That today it's the hawk and tomorrow it's Jake. How Jake was chasing the hawk like the story he chased in the old country. So the story about his grandfather in Korea. How Jake is not his grandfather or his father, but at the same time, he's like both of them. It's a very chatty, that hawk. But then he tells Jake he's not really talking. It's just in his head. He's dehydrated and he needs sleep. Jake is saying out loud that he does not know who he is or what he wants to do with his life. And this just makes the hawk keeps talking. And he gets a bit deep about how his grandfather was poor and did not have many opportunities in life. But Jake was born wealthy and had too many options. But the hawk doesn't really know what is worse, to have options or not. But that a distracted life is a wasted life. Then the hawk points out that Jake likes to chase stories, that he talks to himself. He likes to be alone, so maybe he should become a writer or a historian. This makes Jake laugh, and he tells the hawk that he did not like history in school and he failed English. But this is a very clever hawk, and it tells Jake that he just needs guts and style, not grades or diplomas. That Jake needs to be the voice of the story, so he doesn't end up as a footnote in a history book. While Jake is talking to the hawk, they suddenly hear wolves, and they are howling. Jake gets himself up in a high tree, and the hawk is dangling from a cord from the branch Jake is sitting on. And this seems like a perfect time to hear his mother's voice. Again, talking about the letter, about how his father just worked and worked for his boy's sake. After a chat with his mother, he tries to dangle the body of the hawk for the wolf to try and get it, while Jake tries to attack them with a branch. But he does not have the energy to keep attacking them. So now he hears his brother's voice, and he wants to chat about the stupid shit they had done as children, but then again, his mother interrupts. Now we are taken back to Jake's first birthday party. There were a fortune teller, and Jake was sitting on a blanket. In front of him, there was a lot of different objects. There were pens, paint, rice, ink, brushes, money, and so on. His family around him, which was his parents, his uncle, aunts, were trying with their best baby talk to get Jake to pick something. But the fortune teller tells everyone to be silent and that the first thing Jake picks will be his motivation in life. Jake drags himself past the pen, the rice, the cake. Nothing interests him. But then he spots something and changes direction and drags himself towards the money. His aunts and uncles get excited. They start the baby talk to Jake again. But Jake do not stop at the money. He keeps going and going to the man kneeling in prayer. Jake grabs his father's fingers, and the fortune teller told that Jake chose nothing for his life, but his mother know that Jake chose family. For the first time, Jake wondered how it must have been for his father to grow up without a father, to miss some of the hiking, fishing, hunting, camping, games, how good everything had been. But in that moment, Jake knows what to do. He lets go of the hog, and the wolves runs off with the dead body. As the other first three survivors, Jake got lost in the woods. Not like they did, where they got so lost that they couldn't find their way out. Jake knows his way around the woods, but he is another kind of lost. He can't find himself. Then, if we go to Tome 13, the House of Archon, there you can find a letter from Sam Park to Jake. Sam Park is Jake's father. Jake's father tells that they have been searching for Jake in the fog, but they need to take a break by a tower to get their strength back, but they will continue the search. Sam is thinking back at the time he was teaching Jake how to bike, how they practiced falling on the bike until it was no longer scary. How, when Jake succeeded, he jumped off the bike and hugged his dad and told him that he was the best dad in the world. Sam writes that if he died today and could live in that moment forever, he would be a blessed man. But that he hopes that they get a new chance to make things right.
Cool. It sounds like Jake's a very hungry person. It also sounds like Jake had some interesting mushrooms while he was out in the woods.
Jake needs a psychiatrist, to be fair, with all those voices.
Don't we all need a little psychiatrist every now and then?
Maybe. But he has a lot of back and forth with the annoying voice. So yeah, I did try to dial it down a bit because he is an awesome person. But yeah, that was my take on Jake.
Well, let's find out about his perks and let's see if that develops Jake anymore, shall we? So, Jake Park is the original anti-noise, anti-tracking survivor. He is all about interfering with the killer, not really confronting the killer directly. Meg, the runner, Claudette, the healer, Dwight, the team player. Jake just doesn't get involved and doesn't get noticed. He's very sneaky. He represents subtlety over spectacle in Dead by Daylight. So his perks in alphabetical order, starting with his first is Calm Spirit. Calm Spirit prevents crows from being alerted when you're nearby, unless you step on them, which is an important thing to note. Do not step on crows. This also suppresses the urge to scream from any cause, suppresses all noises related to unlocking chests and cleansing and blessing totems, but it reduces the interaction speed with chests and totems by 30%. So it makes all of those interactions a bit slower, though quiet. Calm Spirit not only suppresses the urge to scream when you are injured by attacks, but also from anything outside, such as perks like Hex, Face the Darkness, Infectious Fright. The Doctor can make you scream, but it suppresses the urge for all of those screams. I understand you have a history with Calm Spirit, Lemon. You were running it as a main perk for quite a while, is that right?
I loved it. It was the best perk, especially when you got a doctor and everybody was running around. Not me. I was calm as a cookie. I don't know the real saying, calm as a what?
Calm as a cookie sounds great.
Okay, I was calm as a cookie. just doing my jams, just chilling out, not getting noticed by the doctor. I loved it. But then I had a small issue with it.
Yeah.
I was doing a quest at home where the text was like, disturb 20 crows. And I had like 10 games and I couldn't do it
It took you so long. It took you so long to do that.
until you told me that I can't disturb crows with calm spirit. And now I'm not using it anymore.
Which is a shame, really. I think Calm Spirit is getting stronger with every new killer. There's a lot of newer killers seem to have a lot of screaming involved with their builds. So there's a lot of screaming going on in Dead by Daylight, I've noticed more recently. I'm looking at you, Steve, in particular. But yes, there's a lot of screaming going on in Dead by Daylight, and it can be quite powerful, especially as you say against a doctor. It's so strong. His second perk is Iron Will. Iron Will is also a quieting perk. It reduces the volume of grunts of pain when you're injured by 100%. You have no grunts of pain at all, unless you're exhausted. If you have an exhaustion perk, which is make you exhausted, you cannot use this. But it doesn't cause exhausted, which is quite interesting too. One of the very few perks that this is the case. It only affects grunts of pain, so it doesn't change your breathing. You can still hear breathing, and you can still hear the heavier breathing of being injured. If you have super cool headphones, which a lot of killers, well, every killer I go up against seems to have the best headphones on the market. They hear everything. And it doesn't work if you're in the dying state. It's only if you're injured. It's a very, very, very good stealth perk. It lets you mind game tiles, especially with tall walls or indoors. You can basically slip away from a first hit quite well with this, especially tied in with other perks. His third perk, Saboteur. While the killer is carrying another survivor, all hooks within 56 meters of their pickup location is revealed. Normal hooks are revealed in white, scourge hooks are revealed in yellow, and you can sabotage hooks without using a toolbox. And it also increases, if you do have a toolbox, the speed of sabotaging. There is a cooldown, 60-second or 1-minute cooldown after use. Saboteur is one of my favorite perks. I always forget, and I'm hoping that this, saying it out loud and having it written down in front of me, I'm hoping reminds me which hooks are which. I always forget which are in white and which are in yellow. So normal hooks are in white, scourge hooks are in yellow. And because scourge hooks are more powerful generally for the killer.
I read that that perk was a bit powerful back when the hooks didn't respawn.
So yeah, there's a couple of things. So back in the day, you could sabotage hooks. Everybody could sabotage a hook. You didn't need a perk to sabotage. Everybody could sabotage hooks, and you would end up in situations where the survivors would sabotage every single hook and absolutely deny any kind of hooking from the killers.
That sounds like the dream.
And back in the day, bear traps could be sabotaged. So bear traps could be sabotaged and they wouldn't be able to be used again, which made the trapper incredibly impotent.
Can we go back to 2016, please?
No, but it is worth looking up though. The original, so the current icon is a sabotage hook. The original icon used to be a sabotage bear trap because that's what it
Oh,
was originally there for.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Saboteur is excellent. It's really good in a coordinated team. Running it in solo queue doesn't particularly work. I think it needs a bit of body block denial and a bit more of that. And it can be quite map dependent and positional dependent where you are on a map as to when people get picked up and things. But we can talk about some combinations of perks which will help that. If you want to run a stealthy Jake build, you might want to go with something like Iron Will, Calm Spirit out of his backpack, along with two that we've already talked about, Lightweight and Sprint Burst. Um, that is going to be a really solid chase and escape build that's going to let you get out of chases 60% of the time. It depends on your skill, really, but a lot of the time you're going to be able to get out of those chases and sprint away. Or if you want to be a sabotage specialist, and this is my favorite, saboteur with breakout, which makes them wiggle faster, along with background player, which makes you faster if they are picked up, along with empathy, which we talked about on Claudette's, which lets you see where the injured players are. You are in the killer's face. You are sabotaging. That's my build. I love that. It's very aggressive, and it usually leads to you getting slugged. If I'm being honest, it usually leads to everyone getting slugged on the ground. Or there is a nice solo queue build with Iron Will, Kindred, Sprint Burst, and Windows, where you are surviving and getting lots of information with Jake's Iron Will perk. I think Jake's perks are moderately beginner friendly. You can specialize with things like Saboteur or Calm Spirit, and they can be quite intense and sweaty in a SWF where everybody's running Saboteur or people are actively trying to prevent hooks. It does mean that the team isn't on gens a lot of the time, but it can lead to some very funny um, friendly games with your friends if everyone's
And we do
focused
love
on that kind
fun.
of thing. We do love fun. I mean, that's why we play Dead by Daylight. However, from the killer side, it can feel a bit like, oh, for flip's sake, you just want to get a hook, and then you end up slugging, and then you feel all dirty for slugging everyone, and then they've got boon exponential, so they're all crawling towards a totem to allow themselves to stand up.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I use that too.
it can be a nightmare. It really can be a nightmare with the wrong team, and you are the killer. But yes, Jake can be useful. There's a lot of useful perks in there, especially for beginners who want to kind of stretch and use some more interactive perks, I guess. So yeah, have you much other than Calm Spirit? You've used a bit of Saboteur, I think, in the past.
I have, but I do prefer toolbox because the cooldown, not a fan.
Yeah, and I have a thing, and I think this is quite common, where you unhook someone and then you go to immediately heal them, and it locks onto the hook, and you start
Yeah,
to saboteur the hook
yeah,
immediately,
exactly.
which is a bit annoying.
Yeah, because then your cooldown starts over.
But it is cool to be running something like Iron Will or Calm Spirit and being stood like just around the corner from a killer, and knowing that they just can't hear you even though you're injured. That's pretty cool. Or in a bush, if you're crouched in a bush.
If you want to be real sneaky.
No panic, no noise, just pure survival. That's Jake Park. And so we come on to our creator recommendation. We like to shine a spotlight on a creator within the Dead by Daylight sphere. And this week, we're going to recommend Static Bodies. They can be found at static_bodies at Twitch. And this is someone we found this week, Lemon.
Yes, we had a game with them,
Hmm.
with one of our other friends.
We did. Well, we were playing some off-screen games, just chilling, and they were playing Singularity. and they had tons of personality. We really enjoyed it. It
It
was
was a
just a
fun
fun
game.
game. It was a really fun game, and
Yeah,
we went into their chat, and they were so lovely
they
and
were the
so
sweetest
kind.
thing.
Yeah, and I've dropped in a couple of times. They were a PNG tuber, a VTuber when we went in, but they do cam as
Oh,
well, and they are super lovely. They live in the West Midlands of the UK, and they just seem really, really nice. So go check them out, folks, and give them your time of day and say hello. They tend to stream on weekends, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Tuesdays, I believe. Check out their socials. Everything will be linked in the show notes. So, Lemon, who is next week's character?
next week we're going to look at the nurse. And I'm really excited to see, like, to read the backstory for her.
Our first expansion, I guess, to Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I'm excited. There has to be a juicy story with a nurse, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure. There's a lot to talk about with the nurse in terms of power and things as well. So next week should be an interesting one.
Yeah, a part of the chapter called The Last Breath, the nurse and Nia. So we will be starting with the nurse.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Just as a reminder, we do have a website which holds all of our links together, all of our socials. Beyondcampfire.com will have links to all of the major podcast platforms, where to find us and where to follow us if that floats your boat. Do you have any questions for the listener this week?
Yes, I do. Do any of you hear other voices in your head besides your own?
That's deep.
I'm a deep person.
You are a deep person.
Do you?
The voice in my head said that's deep as well. They agreed with me. They were like, yes, that is deep, Dogbomb.
Do you have a
That is.
question?
I do, yeah. I would like the people out there to recommend us any DVD creators.
Yes,
It was a delight to bump into Static Bodies this week, and I would like to know anyone who they think doesn't get enough love, any smaller creators, anyone who creates not on Twitch, because that seems to be our ballpark and our playground. So any artists out there, anybody who streams on a different platform, YouTube primarily or TikTok, let us know because we'd love to check them out and add them to our master list of creators.
definitely.
But in the meantime, while everyone is chatting to the voices in their heads, remember, play safe out there and don't get hooked.